My girlfriend screamed, "This is my system. If you can't respect it, then leave." She tried running our relationship. Like a dictatorship, I laughed. Consider it done. Left her with nothing but her rules and a laminated sheet. Sup, Reddit. Figured I'd finally share the story of how my relationship went from quirky rules to me walking out and never looking back. It started off normal enough, but let's just say things escalated in ways I didn't expect. Buckle up, because this one's a ride. When I, Vernon, 29 male, first moved in with my GF Amanda, 31 female, I honestly thought I hit the jackpot. She was 2 years older, had that whole I'm mature and got my life together vibe. She worked from home doing this so-called social media consulting thing, and I had a decent IT job that paid well enough to cover rent and then some. At the start, it felt like a normal relationship. We split chores, ordered takeout, binged shows, nothing crazy. Then came the rules. It started like this. One night, I walked in with my sneakers on, straight into the living room. She stops me mid-step like I just stepped on holy ground. "Shoes off by the door, Vernon. It keeps the place clean." All right, fair. I can roll with that. I'm not trying to drag mud across the carpet anyway. Then came dishes. Apparently, dishes had to be washed immediately after eating. Not like after the episode ends or before bed. She meant immediately. Fork down, plate in sink, soap in hand. I laughed at first. Thought she was joking. But she stood there with that look that says I'm dead serious. I shrugged and said, "Sure, Sergeant Sparkle, I'll scrub it before the crumbs stage a rebellion." She didn't laugh. I didn't really follow through either. If I was tired, that plate sat in the sink till morning. If I had a late shift, those dishes waited till the weekend. I wasn't about to restructure my whole existence around when she wanted spoons polished. At first, she'd huff and puff but let it go. But then, she decided these little things needed to be formalized. That's when I found the first list taped to the fridge. A neat little printout titled Household Guidelines. There were 10 bullet points. Stuff like no eating outside the kitchen, laundry folded within 30 minutes of drying, bathroom counter must be wiped after every use. I stood there staring at it, like I was looking at a rental contract, except this one didn't come with a free parking spot. I walked back into the living room, list in hand, and said, "So, do I need to initial each page or just sign the back?" She scowled and said, "Don't be childish, Vernon. Structure is healthy. This is for us." Sure, for us. Except I noticed pretty quick that structure was flexible for her and written in stone for me. Like one time I set my bowl down on the coffee table while watching a game, and she freaked out about no food outside the kitchen. The next day, she's on the same couch with popcorn and a smoothie watching some reality show. When I pointed it out, she said, "That's different. I clean up after myself." Yeah, okay. By month 3, she started adding new guidelines like she was patching software. I'd come home and see version 2.0 taped on the fridge. Then version 3.0. At one point, I swear we were at version 5.2. She literally edited them in Google Docs and sent me notifications. Here's the thing. I didn't really follow them. I humored her sometimes, sure. But most of the time, I lived like a normal human being. She'd come home and say, "Vernon, the bedspread corners aren't tucked in properly." And I'd reply with, "You're right. It's a bed, not a hotel." Shocking. She'd fume. But what was she going to do? Write me a ticket? Dock my allowance? Her version of punishment was giving me these long speeches about how I lacked discipline, how she was trying to elevate our relationship, how I'd thank her later. I'd just sit there nodding, biting the inside of my cheek not to laugh, thinking, "Lady, you're not my life coach. You're my girlfriend. Chill." The wildest part? She started bragging about her systems to her friends. I overheard her once on the phone saying, "Yeah, Vernon's adjusted really well to the structure. He needed it." I almost choked on my sandwich. Adjusted? The only thing I adjusted was how often I rolled my eyes. I wasn't miserable at this stage, but I could see the storm forming. She was convinced she was some kind of genius for writing house rules like we were in a summer camp. And me? I was the guy pretending to care while secretly doing whatever I wanted. Looking back, I should have seen the writing on the fridge. Literally. But at the time, I thought, whatever. She's a little controlling, I'm a little sarcastic, we balance out. Spoiler, we did not balance out, because by the end of year 1, that guidelines list grew into something insane. I'm talking 37 rules, laminated, hung like a damn 10 commandments in the kitchen. It covered everything from my gaming time to when I could see my friends. And every time I laughed it off or ignored it, she'd double down, convinced the only reason I didn't follow was because I hadn't fully embraced the system. Me? I was just trying to live without needing a permission slip to breathe. But Amanda wasn't slowing down. If anything, she was on a mission to prove that her laminated list wasn't just a phase, it was her masterpiece. By the start of year 2, we weren't talking about a few guidelines anymore. We were dealing with a full-blown rulebook. She had the master copy in Google Docs, and every couple weeks I'd get an email notification. Amanda shared Household Guidelines version 6.3 with you, like she was running firmware updates on my life. The funniest part? She'd actually put the little last edited timestamp at the top, like I was supposed to review the changelog. Rule number 12 updated for clarity. Rule number 18 expanded to include all snack foods. Oh, thanks, honey. I'll make sure I don't violate subsection B of the Chip Consumption Act. One of the new classics was the grocery rule. We could only buy approved brands. And by approved, I mean whatever she decided looked Instagram-worthy. If I came home with the wrong detergent, she'd act like I just smuggled in toxic waste. I remember once I grabbed a bag of off-brand cereal because it was literally half the price. She held the box like it was a live grenade. This isn't on the list, Vernon. It's cereal, not plutonium. You don't understand. Presentation matters. What if guests see this in our pantry? Who's coming into our pantry, Amanda? Are we hosting the damn Food Network? That box sat unopened until I ate the whole thing out of spite. Dry, straight from the bag. 5 stars, by the way. Then there was the gaming rule. She didn't want me wasting my evenings staring at a screen. Her compromise? 1 hour of gaming per week. Per week. I told her that was like telling a football fan he could only watch the first quarter on Sundays. She didn't laugh. I still gamed whenever I wanted. Headphones on, controller in hand, while she sulked on the couch pretending to meditate. But the one that really got me was the shower schedule. According to Amanda, mornings were her time, evenings were my time, and we couldn't overlap because water pressure should be respected. Who even says stuff like that? If I dared to shower in the morning because I had an early meeting, she'd act like I was siphoning her oxygen tank. And don't get me started on the feedback sessions. Once a week, she'd sit me down with a notepad, like she was HR doing a performance review. What do you feel I could improve on? Here's what I noticed about you. I'd sit there writing fake notes like, Vernon needs to improve his willingness to bow down to nonsense. When she'd ask what I wrote, I'd say something like, oh, just my gratitude for your visionary leadership. She called me immature. I called her CEO of the apartment. It didn't stop at the apartment, though. She started dipping her hands into my work life. She asked me to share my Google Calendar with her so she could help me manage my time better. When I told her no, she said I was resisting growth. One night, she even drafted an email for me to send to my boss. She handed it over like she was doing me a favor. Just a suggestion, Vernon. You sound more professional if you say it this way. I skimmed it. She'd basically rewritten it in corporate robot speak. I sent my original version anyway. When she asked if my boss liked her edits, I said, yeah, he loved them so much I deleted them immediately. Then came the spending control. Even though I covered about 75% of everything, rent, utilities, groceries, and roughly 80% of the rent alone, Amanda decided purchases over $20 had to be approved. Meanwhile, she was out here buying $180 self-care kits that were basically candles and bath salts. I pointed out the math didn't add up. She said, that's different. My purchases are necessities. Yours are distractions. Technically, the lease was in her name, but I was paying about 80% of the rent, plus most of the other bills. One time I bought a $25 indie game on Steam without her approval. She lost it. Vernon, you're sabotaging our savings plan. Our savings plan? You mean my paycheck minus your shopping cart? She said I was being defensive. I said she was being delusional. Neither of us backed down, but she still posted a selfie later holding that new purse, captioned, investing in yourself is never wasted. She also tried to rewrite my social life. According to the rules, no friends could come over after 8 p.m. because it disrupted her energy. Meanwhile, her friend Jade could sit on our couch till 11 p.m., chattering about crystals and manifesting. When I pointed out the double standard, Amanda said, Jade's different. She understands the vibe. Right. My friends apparently came with bad vibes by default. So what did I do? I kept inviting my buddies over anyway, just earlier. And when they left at 7:59, we'd joke about the curfew like we were teenagers sneaking home before Dad caught us. Amanda would glare, but what was she going to do? Issue citations? The thing is, I wasn't caving. I didn't fold myself into her system like she expected. I didn't ask for permission to live in my own damn house. I laughed at her Google Docs, ignored her approval requests, and gamed on Tuesdays just to prove I could. Every time she updated the list, I broke at least 3 rules that same week on principle. And the more I pushed back, the more convinced she became that I needed her structure. She started saying things like, "Without me, you'd be lost. You'd be eating fast food every night, gaming until 3 a.m., wasting your potential." I'd smirk and reply, "Sounds like heaven. Thanks for the inspiration." That would make her furious. She thought she was saving me, but I was just counting down how much longer I could put up with this nonsense before something snapped. That something came at a restaurant one Friday night. Amanda had been on this health kick where she planned every single meal for the week, down to which brand of olive oil was acceptable. It was already exhausting at home, but when she told me we had to stick to the plan while eating out, I knew we were entering new levels of delusion. We sit down at this mid-range place, nothing fancy. Waiter comes over, asks what we'll have. Amanda goes first, orders salmon with steamed veggies because of course Tuesday's meal plan said salmon. I wasn't in the mood for fish. I'd worked a long shift, I wanted a burger. A simple, greasy American burger. So I ordered one. The look she gave me could have curdled milk. She literally put her hand up to stop the waiter like we were in a hostage negotiation. "No, he'll have the salmon too." I leaned back, crossed my arms, and grinned at the waiter. "No, I'll have the burger. Medium. Extra fries." The waiter looked between us like he'd just walked into a domestic Cold War. Amanda huffed, turned to me and said, loud enough for the next table to hear, "Vernon, we talked about this. Respecting the system means sticking to the plan." I smiled sweetly and said, "Respecting myself means eating what I want when I'm paying for it." A couple at the next table snickered. The waiter scribbled down burger without a word and practically sprinted away. Amanda whispered furiously, "You're embarrassing me." I whispered back, "Good. At least we're finally aligned on something." The whole dinner she pouted, picked at her salmon like it had personally betrayed her. I ate my burger with dramatic satisfaction, even dipped fries in ketchup like I was starring in a commercial. Every bite felt like a middle finger to her laminated rulebook. That was strike one. Strike two came a few days later. I worked late, was dead tired, and didn't feel like messing with her meal plan or grocery list. So I swung by a pizza place, grabbed a large pepperoni, and went home. Easy, cheap, done. The second she smelled it, she acted like I'd just tracked mud through a temple. "What is this?" "It's pizza, Amanda. You've seen one before." Her voice went up an octave. "It's Tuesday. Tuesday is salmon. Where's the salmon?" "Probably still at the store where you didn't buy it." Wrong answer. She launched into a full-blown lecture about my lack of commitment to her system, how I constantly undermined her efforts, how I was sabotaging our future. Over a pizza. A $10 pepperoni pizza. I sat on the couch, box open, grabbing slice after slice while she paced the room, like a general addressing troops. "You think this is funny? This is disrespect. This is about structure." "Relax," I said, through a mouthful of cheese. "It's not a UN treaty, it's dinner." And that's when she screamed the magic words, "This is my system. If you can't respect it, then leave." And just like that, I knew my timer had hit 0. It was almost funny. For months, she'd been running this imaginary empire in her head, where I was the loyal subject, and she was the visionary leader. She thought she was shaping me into some perfect man, with her 37 commandments. But in that one sentence, she gave me the one thing I'd been waiting for. Permission. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I didn't explain. I just nodded, wiped pizza grease on a napkin, and said, "Consider it done." Her face twisted like she couldn't process it. She let out this bitter laugh, the kind people use when they think they've already won. "You wouldn't last a week without me keeping your life together." I didn't bother answering. Arguing with her was like debating a wall. I just finished my slice, closed the box, and went to bed. That night, lying there, I felt calmer than I had in months. She thought she'd delivered some devastating threat. In reality, she'd handed me my escape route. All I had to do was take it. And the best part? She had no clue I actually would. Amanda thought she dropped a power move with her ultimatum, but she didn't realize she'd just opened the door for me to walk right out. I didn't tell her, didn't hint, didn't give her the satisfaction of an argument. I just laid there that night planning, letting her think she'd won. The next morning, she went about her usual routine like nothing had happened. Yoga mat under one arm, tote bag with her reusable water bottles, off to her brunch meeting that always looked more like a gossip circle than anything productive. She left at 9 a.m. on the dot, same every Wednesday. That was my window. I'd already taken the day off work. While she was posting motivational quotes on Instagram, I was at the U-Haul counter signing paperwork. Walking back into the apartment with moving boxes felt unreal. I looked around at all the stuff and realized something funny. Nearly everything in that place was mine. The TV, the couch, the coffee table, the kitchen appliances. If it plugged into an outlet, I probably paid for it. Amanda always bragged about our home, but really it was my home with her posters taped to the wall. I started packing like a machine. Electronics first. Consoles, cables, speakers, my monitor, gone. Then the furniture. I'd already lined up my buddy Diego to help later, but I hauled the lighter stuff down myself just to keep momentum. Every trip down to the truck felt better than therapy. By noon, the living room looked like a crime scene after the burglars left. All that remained was her ridiculous laminated rule sheet hanging on the fridge, like it was the 10 Commandments. I left it there on purpose. The kitchen was next. Blender? Mine. Coffee maker? Mine. Pots, pans, dishes? Mine. The only thing I left was her precious Vitamix, because God forbid I rob her of the one thing she actually paid for. Bedroom. I packed everything I bought, leaving behind only her clothes and the little shrine of skincare products cluttering her side of the bathroom. By 2 o'clock, I'd cleaned out almost everything I wanted. Then came the digital purge. Streaming services? Passwords changed? Shared accounts? Closed? Credit cards? Her supplementary card canceled. I even called the utility companies, told them to cut service at the end of the month. Since everything was under my name, she had no say. The only thing I shut off immediately was the internet. I took my modem and router, so the Wi-Fi died the second I walked out. Finally, I sat at the kitchen counter with a sticky note and wrote, "Per your request, I've left." I stuck it right below her rule sheet, like a final stamp of approval. Then I walked out with the last box. And I'll say this before anyone else does. Yeah, I probably should have left earlier. Looking back, I put up with way more nonsense than I needed to. You have every right to roast me for that. I stayed because it was easier at the time, because I wanted to see if she'd calm down, and maybe because I thought it wasn't worth the hassle of moving. But make no mistake, I wasn't blind. I saw exactly what was happening. I just waited until she handed me the perfect exit line, and then I took it. By the time Diego showed up with his truck, the place was nearly empty. We loaded the furniture, laughed about how she'd probably lose her mind when she walked in, and drove it all to Nate's apartment across town. He'd cleared out his spare room for me, no questions asked. Better here than with the dictator. He joked while helping me carry the mattress upstairs. That night, I sat in Nate's living room, controller in hand, Netflix on the TV, Chinese takeout straight from the container. No rules, no meal plan, no feedback session scheduled. For the first time in years, I felt free. The first text came around 4 p.m. "Vernon? Where's the TV?" Then another. "Is this some kind of joke? The Wi-Fi isn't working. Did you forget to pay the bill?" Then more. "The power company says service is scheduled to end this month. Explain yourself right now. My card just got declined at Whole Foods. What the hell did you do?" By the end of the night, my phone showed 63 texts, 29 missed calls, and a string of voicemails that started frantic and turned unhinged. "You can't just leave. I make the rules. You don't get to decide. Come back right now." Then, "This is theft. I'm calling the police." Then, "Please, Vernon, I didn't mean it. You're overreacting. Just come home and we'll talk." I didn't answer a single one. Instead, I cracked open another box of takeout, put my feet on Nate's coffee table, and queued up another show. My life was finally mine again, and the sound of her desperate voicemails only made it sweeter. She thought she owned me. She thought I'd never walk away. But the second she told me to leave, I made it happen. And now she was the one left standing in an empty apartment, holding a laminated list of rules that applied to no one. I figured the storm would hit fast, and it did. Day 1 was just texts and calls. Day 2, she upgraded to in-person drama. I walked into work that morning, coffee in hand, feeling like a free man. By 10 a.m., security pinged me. "Hey, Vernon, you got someone downstairs asking for you." I wasn't expecting anyone, so I checked the monitor feed. And there she was, Amanda, pacing in the lobby like a Karen waiting to chew out customer service. She spotted the camera and waved like she was flagging down an Uber. Then she marched to the desk and started insisting they let her up. Security held their ground. I watched on the screen, sipping my coffee, as she argued with a 6'3" ex-Marine who wasn't about to bend company policy for a woman shrieking, "I'm his girlfriend." I didn't go down. I wasn't about to reward the performance. 10 minutes later, she stormed out, phone to her ear, probably calling her mom to complain that security didn't recognize her royal title. That night, she tried phase 2. Ambush Nate's place. Around 9 p.m., doorbell rings. Nate checks the peephole and whispers, "Dude, it's her." Amanda stood there with a cardboard box like she was Santa Claus. Mascara running, wearing the dress from our last anniversary dinner. She tried to shove the box at Nate. These are Vernon's things. I just want to give them back, which was hilarious because I'd already cleared out literally everything I owned. That box wasn't mine. It was just random junk she threw together to have an excuse to show up. Nate didn't buy it for a second. He told her to leave it at the door. She craned her neck, tried to peek past him. Is he here? I just need 5 minutes. He shook his head. No contact means no contact. Her face cracked. This is kidnapping. You're holding him against his will. Nate, bless the man, didn't even blink. Lady, he's at the gym. And that's not what kidnapping means. Then he closed the door in her face. We laughed about it for a week. But she wasn't done. She shifted to proxy attacks. First came her mom. Vernon, how could you abandon my daughter like this? She's devastated. You need to step up and be a man. Then her sister. She gave you structure and you just threw it away? Then her best friend Layla, who sent me a DM essay about how Amanda sacrificed everything for me. I responded to all of them with one line. She told me to leave. I left. But Layla slipped up. She mentioned that Amanda had been bragging for months about how she had me trained, how her system was revolutionary, and the best thing, how she was planning to use me as the success story for a coaching business she wanted to launch. That was the moment it clicked. I wasn't a boyfriend to her. I was a case study, a guinea pig. She wasn't building a relationship. She was writing a manual. From chaos to control. How I transformed my boyfriend. I actually laughed out loud reading that. Imagine being so delusional that you treat your partner like a science experiment and then act shocked when the lab rat escapes. It explained everything. The laminated lists, the weekly feedback sessions, the strict grocery brands. She thought she was crafting a system she could sell, and I was supposed to be Exhibit A. The irony? By leaving, I'd torched her entire plan. Day 3, she tried to spin the story online. She posted on Instagram about recognizing emotional manipulation and setting healthy boundaries. According to her version, I was unemployed. I'd been at the same IT job for years. She supported me financially. She made $1,200 a month tops, and I abandoned her after she set boundaries. At first, the comments were all, "You go, queen, and know your worth." But the internet doesn't stay supportive for long. People started noticing the holes. Screenshots of her old posts popped up. Fancy restaurants, vacations, shopping hauls, all clearly paid for by me. One guy commented, "Wait, if he was unemployed, how'd you afford Bali?" She deleted the comment, but screenshots don't die. Her narrative started crumbling in real time. Meanwhile, I was sitting on Nate's couch, eating wings, laughing at her Instagram stories. She wanted to be a coach, but all she was coaching people on was how to tank your own reputation. By the end of the week, she'd gone from ultimatums to desperation. She texted me, "I can't afford the apartment without you. Rent's due and I don't have the money. I need help with groceries." I sent back one line. "Per your request, I left." Silence for a while. Then another text. "This is financial abuse. You owe me support." I couldn't help myself. I replied, "I don't owe you salmon on Tuesdays, let alone support." She didn't like that. The next day, my cousin, who's a paralegal, called me laughing. Apparently, Amanda had sent me some janky legal-looking document demanding transitional support and compensation for emotional damages. My cousin said it looked like she Googled how to sue boyfriend and copy-pasted the first template she found. I knew then this was only going to escalate. And honestly, I was looking forward to it, because every move she made only made her look worse, and every meltdown was another reminder I made the right choice. But Amanda wasn't the type to take an L quietly. No, she had to go out swinging, even if she was punching air. About 3 weeks after I moved out, I came home from work to find an envelope taped to Nate's apartment door. Thick, stapled packet inside, full of legal-sounding jargon. Amanda was suing me. A week later, a process server actually handed me the official papers, so the case was real and a court date got set. Her demands were hysterical. $5,000 for theft of shared property, $4,000 for financial abandonment, $6,000 for emotional distress, 15 grand total for leaving when she told me to leave. I showed the papers to my cousin. He skimmed them, laughed, and said, "Yeah, this isn't a lawsuit. This is a tantrum with formatting." Still, I wasn't going to play around. I hired a lawyer for $500 to handle the court date. If I was going to dismantle her nonsense, I wanted to do it properly. Court day came fast. Tuesday morning, I walked into the county civil courtroom wearing a clean button-up, calm as ever. Amanda strolled in 10 minutes late in what I think was supposed to be her power outfit, a stiff blazer with the tag still on it. Her dad came with her, probably thinking he was about to watch me get schooled. The judge started with the first claim, shared property. Amanda argued the furniture and electronics were ours. My lawyer slid a neat folder across the table. Receipts for the TV, couch, bed, appliances, consoles, all in my name. Amanda tried to argue. I helped pick them out. That makes them shared. The judge raised an eyebrow. If you help a friend pick a car, does that make you the co-owner? She shrank back. Strike one. Next was financial abandonment. She launched into a speech about how she had structured her whole life around me, and I owed her support because she sacrificed so much. The judge stopped her cold. Were you two married? No. Did you have your own income? Yes, but then there's no financial duty here. Claim denied. Strike two. Then came the big one, emotional distress. She told the judge I traumatized her by walking out suddenly and destroying her stability. The judge asked her to clarify what I did that was so distressing. She answered, he left after I told him to leave. Even the judge cracked a smile at that. So he complied with your request, and that caused your distress? Her dad rubbed his temples like he wanted to evaporate. Strike three. And then came her final Hail Mary. She claimed I'd stolen her intellectual property. She argued that her relationship system was a business plan, and I had ruined it by refusing to be her test subject anymore. That's when my lawyer pulled out screenshots of her Instagram posts, the ones where she bragged about her revolutionary relationship system and how she was going to upgrade from me once it launched. The judge read them silently, then looked back at her. So you were planning to end the relationship anyway? Amanda's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Her dad looked blindsided, like he'd just realized his daughter was trying to turn her love life into an MLM. The judge leaned back. All claims dismissed. Defendant is awarded $500 in legal fees. Fees were on the table because it was civil, not small claims. Bang. Case closed. Watching her face drop when she realized she now owed me money was better than a championship game. But the entertainment didn't end at the courthouse. See, Amanda actually tried to launch that coaching business. She called it From Chaos to Control, How to Build Structure in Your Relationship. She built a cheap website, slapped some Canva graphics on it, and listed a $299 course where she promised to teach women how to train their partner into a high-value man. She even used pictures of me. Cropped, of course, but still obvious enough that anyone who knew me would recognize it. Caption: my first success story. Except people weren't buying it. Literally. Within a week, her posts started getting dragged. Screenshots of her meltdown texts and rants started circulating in local groups. Someone dug up her old posts where she bragged about how I funded vacations and dinners. People started commenting, if he was unemployed, how'd you afford Bali? If he was lazy, why were you bragging about your trips? She deleted comments nonstop, but the screenshots kept multiplying. Her follower count dropped from around 2,000 to barely 300. The yoga studio where she taught a weekend class quietly told her not to come back. Word was she was too dramatic for the environment. The 3 small businesses she managed Instagram accounts for, they all fired her. One even hired me to fix their website. The manager told me, our last social media person went off the rails and started posting about her personal drama. I didn't even have to ask who. Her business launch flopped harder than a bad reality show. 0 sales, 0 clients. And now she had to explain to her parents not only why she was back living in their spare bedroom, but also why she owed me $500 in legal fees. I couldn't have scripted it better if I tried. Amanda's empire of laminated rules, fake coaching dreams, and borrowed authority collapsed in record time. What took her 2 years to build unraveled in about 2 months. And all I had to do was leave when she told me to. After the court mess, she basically vanished from my day-to-day. No more texts, no more late-night voicemails. She must have finally realized she'd run out of cards to play. Her dad, who sat through that courtroom embarrassment, probably gave her the "you're on your own" speech the second they got home. I started hearing updates through the grapevine. A friend of a friend spotted her back at her parents' house, driving her mom's minivan. She'd applied for jobs all over town, anything from retail to admin work, but no one wanted the Instagram coach whose online footprint was full of rants about her ex. The best she landed was a part-time gig at a supplement store, folding branded t-shirts and stocking shelves of protein powder. From visionary relationship architect to handing out samples of energy gummies. Meanwhile, I was thriving. I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment that actually felt like mine. First night there, I ordered a pizza, ate it in bed, and laughed at how simple freedom could be. No fridge guidelines taped up, no curfew on my friends, no scheduled feedback sessions. Just me, a greasy box of pepperoni, and my own rules, meaning none at all. The little things felt huge. Leaving dishes in the sink overnight because I didn't feel like washing them right away. showering whenever I wanted, without a slot on some ridiculous schedule, buying a PS5 on a whim because I could. These weren't luxuries. They were basics I hadn't realized she'd managed to choke out of my life with her system. And socially, my friends came back in full force. During Amanda's reign, they'd gotten used to leaving before 8 p.m., like they were under curfew. Now we had game nights that went until 2 in the morning. The same guys who used to joke about sneaking out before General Amanda checked attendance were now crashing on my couch, controllers in hand, no one worried about disrupting the energy flow. I also started dating again, slowly. Nothing serious at first, just dinners, drinks, casual fun. But eventually, I met someone who actually understood what a relationship is supposed to be. Two people respecting each other, not one writing laminated commandments for the other to obey. The difference was night and day. Instead of feedback forms, we just talked. Instead of rules about meal plans, we grabbed whatever takeout sounded good. It was almost boring compared to Amanda's drama, which was exactly what I wanted. As for Amanda, she didn't exactly stay quiet. She rebranded her Instagram again, this time as a self-love advocate. Lots of quotes about toxic exes and knowing your worth, still sprinkled in the occasional selfie with captions like, "Never let anyone dim your shine." But the likes trickled down to single digits. Most of her old followers had either unfollowed or were sticking around just to watch the crash. The laminated list of rules made one last appearance too. Someone told me her mom found it in her room and tossed it in the trash. Amanda apparently reprinted the whole thing from her Google Doc and hung it right back up in her childhood bedroom. Same list, new fridge. I'd be lying if I said I didn't smile when I heard that. 31 years old, back in her parents' house, clinging to a list of rules that never worked on anyone but herself. She wanted to be a coach, a leader, a genius. In the end, she was just a cautionary tale. And me? I got the best ending I could ask for. A clean break, a few funny stories, and my life back on track. No more living under a dictatorship disguised as structure. No more pretending that laminated rules equaled love. Funny thing about ultimatums, when you tell someone, if you don't like it, leave, you'd better be prepared for them to actually walk out. She thought she was calling my bluff. She thought she had me trained. Turns out I was just waiting for the chance. And when I left, everything she built came crashing down. Because all of it was built on me paying the bills and putting up with her nonsense. Without me, her system wasn't a system. It was just paper on a fridge. To everyone who ever asked why I stayed so long, here's the truth. Yeah, maybe I should have gone earlier. But walking out the way I did, leaving her with nothing but her own rules echoing back at her, was worth the wait. That look on her face when she came home to an empty apartment, that was the payoff. Now my apartment is quiet, messy when I want it to be, clean when I feel like it. I eat pizza in bed, buy games without asking permission, invite friends over at midnight, and date someone who doesn't think relationship architecture means banning snacks outside the kitchen. Amanda was right about one thing, though. She once told me, "You wouldn't last a week without me keeping your life together." It's been months now, and every day feels like the best week of my life. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.